Right, good evening. Please let me know if you can hear me okay, and please let me know if there's an echo, because there was a terrible echo on the stream last night. And I've made some changes. But thanks for being good at no echo. No echo, thank goodness. Good evening, Exo. Good evening, Daniel, Michael, Tom. Do I sound okay as well? Loud and mostly clear? Which is mostly... Do I sound okay? I can change the microphone. This microphone looks fancy, but it's actually kind of a piece of shit. I think. A little bit distortion. Hold on. Does this sound better, or does this sound worse? I guess... This sounds better? Alright, see this expensive microphone here? I can just F off. I need to, honestly, that's what you get for... So you're sure you can hear me okay, yeah? I mean, this is the microphone on this fancy camera and it's a directional mic. Alright, it's better for everyone. Alright, cool. I guess I don't need the big microphone in my face. Cool. It's going to feel weird doing it without it. But yeah, thanks for being here. I am on a new system. So this is why everything is different and confusing. And I just realised 5 minutes before the stream started that I didn't even have the army lists downloaded onto the system. They were on the desktop of my old PC. So I was like running around like an idiot trying to get the army lists. Alright, let me just start by saying the three lists we're looking at this week are Michael, Sam, and Steve West. And these are all members. I wanted to say that for the next few weeks, we've been getting so many submissions. Channel members are going to get priority for, I think, the next 3 weeks. It's just going to be all members lists. I'm sorry, non-members. I do love you guys as well, but for me, members make the world go round, and if the members need reviews, then typically I try and split it, but I'm not going to split it for the next few weeks. Honestly, I think I'm just going to replace that microphone. I actually bought it before I even started the Bloody Needles Commander channel. So it was a budget microphone. It's got a cool stand and stuff. Like, it's got this cool... Oh, that's my daughter up. 1 second. Sometimes you get what you pay for. Yeah, so this microphone, as cool as a stand it is, I think I'm just going to replace it. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll look in. I think I'm going to replace it. I'll probably send it to one of the grots. If one of the grots wants it, they can have it. Okay, cool. Alright, no more distractions. Right, so 3 army lists we're going to look at tonight. The other thing I wanted to say is I've been following it on Twitter now. I don't know if you guys know about this. Because it's a new computer, I'm not signed in. I have no idea what my Twitter password is. Chaos Gate, you guys been watching this game? 4 days to go, Chaos Gate. I've been looking at this game. And I'm off work on Thursday, so honestly I'm probably going to stream this game I feel like my computer can probably handle it now. And this is basically XCOM. XCOM meets Warhammer. And like, XCOM was literally one of my favourite games. See if you can see some of the screenshots. Yeah, so it's like, you got your little squad of guys. Each one gets like a move, attack, whatever. So, I'm probably going to stream this on Thursday. So if anyone wants to watch, I'll probably be streaming it on Thursday. And I'm pretty sure my new computer is going to be able to run it, compared to my old one. Graphics look cool anyway. Man, these power swords are dope. I would like a Blood Angels game, actually, that's like XCOM. Maybe if this game does well, they'll make more. I've played one game by Complex Games before, actually, and it was, they made a mobile game. It's a horse heresy game. I think it was called Drop Assault. It was actually pretty popular. I played it with Andrew a bit, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know I'm gonna stream it during the day on Thursday. Don't worry, I'll be free for the evening to film the Grots episode. That's not a problem. I don't think Complex Games have anything else on Steam. No, this must be like their first PC game. Okay, so yeah, join me on Thursday, and like I said, it's gonna be earlier in the day, I guess. Probably around. I mean, I may stream it just when I wake up, so like 10 AM or something. I have some chores to do on Thursday morning first. Cool. Anyway, let's get into army lists. I guess I actually have seen, like, there's been a couple of tournaments won by Blood Angels in the last week. Like, there was an RTT one, and there was also a actually, I don't know if there's a GT one. I think, but there's definitely an RTT one. Let me see. I'm on Windows 11 now. I know nothing about Windows 11. I'm struggling to find everything. So let me see if I can increase the font size of this a little bit. Does that work? Yeah, cool. And you guys can read this, okay? Let me turn off my yellowness. Look okay? Did anyone see the Horus Heresy leaked full box? I don't even think it's leaked anymore, Andy. I think they actually posted a picture of it on the Warhammer community website. What's the difference between RTT and GT? I think RTT is like typically one day for about 20 players. You play 3 games. GT is, I think GT is a minimum of 30 players and you play 5 games. Yeah, something like that. Okay. I actually did finish the Terminators last night, for anyone that was wondering. Alright, so Michael, this list is for review post-balance sheet update April 2022. Slight update on my previous list. And 1 extra relic, 2,000 points exactly. He's running the Voidsman at Arms. And he's got 45 points, Voidsman at Arms. So he must have taken a special weapon on them. I'm actually in the middle of getting a squad of Voidsmen at Arms for myself. If you're not familiar with Voidsmen at Arms, they're basically agents of the Imperium, and you could use them very effectively. There's two ways you could use them. They're 8 points per model, so I guess you could take 5 of them for 40 points. That's almost enough to do Nakman data. It's also good for engaging all fronts, and he's given them the Candid, which is basically the dog. If you've seen the actual models for these are these ones. So the Candid, I guess, is the dog. Once per battle, when this unit is selected to fight, roll a d6 subtracting 2 if it's a monster, and a 2 to 5 it suffers mortal. So for 5 points you can do a mortal wound. I actually don't think that's worth taking. But I do like Voidsman at Arms, and I do also think they have a pretty cool thing where you can pay 1 CP to put them into a teleport chamber. So if you are going to use them for engaging all fronts, that's one way you could do it. I would take 6 Voidsman at Arms personally, because that means you would guarantee Nakman data. And I think that's kind of their strength. I guess 5 is okay, but the thing with the servitors kind of showed me that I think if you're gonna do Nakman data with a non-core unit, you kind of really need to have 6 because you don't want to be relying on a roll to get your victory points or to not get your victory points. It could win or lose you the game. But Voidsman Armor are a cool little model. I mean, they're not going to do any damage. They have las guns. Sergeant maybe has a shotgun. But if you want to use them to engage on fronts and score points, you could definitely do that. What Mark's saying someone made the finals at the Dallas Open Major. Who was that? Was it the guy that was it Sweet Lou or was it someone else? Alright, so we start with a squad of Voidsman at Arms. 45 points. I'd try and make it a 6 and just do the 48 personally. Astaroth, Mantra of Strength. Oh, can I word wrap this so it doesn't scroll off the screen? Litany of Hate, Massive Doom, Canticle of Hate as well. Captain on the Bike, Rites of War, Armor Indomitus and a Thunderhammer. Really sad that this captain doesn't have an Infernal Pistol. I think giving us a captain an Infernal Pistol is actually more valuable for sure than giving the Voidsman at Arms the dog. If the dog just is a chance to do like 1 mortal wound, I think that's a waste of 5 points really. Is that all that the dog gives you? Once per battle you can do a mortal wound or 3 I guess. I don't think that's worth 5 points. I'd have an Infernal Pistol on the captain. Then we get the Sangri Priest, who has the jump pack and Selfless Healer and the Teeth of Terra. I'm still not sold on the Sangri Priest. Sweet Lou made it. Oh, that's cool. Sweet Lou messaged me on Discord. That's funny. And I messaged him earlier today not knowing the results, saying, good luck at your tournament. And if you want to come on the channel, you'd be welcome to. So, I guess after he does his final game today, he's going to read my message. Because I sent it like maybe 2 or 3 hours ago. Okay, we have Assault, Intercessors, and Cursors. Yeah, Sangri Priest for 155 points. I'm not sure we need it. I think I'm going to have to try it, but I just don't know if we need it. Hello, Henry. Thanks for tuning in. I've been running the Sangri Ancient, because the Ancient gives you more offensive capability, because you can make 1 unit plus 1 to hit. Very good for Vanguard veterans as well as Sangri Guard, if they're not near the Warlord. And the additional 2 inches of movement has helped me as well. Who got killed? Sweet Lou got killed, like in the final game maybe. Then in this list, okay, we've got Large Squad of Death Company. It's 3 Death Company with Power Swords, 2 with Infernal Pistols and Power Fists, and 2 with Thunderhammers, and another squad basically exactly the same. Interesting Death Company squads. I think Death Company got a lot better. I think they're cheaper. 236 points. Let me just divide that by 32. I'm curious to see how that matches up on Sangri Guard. So 236 divided by 32, that means you could have 7 Sangri Guard plus like a 32 times 7. You could have 7 Sangri Guard plus like an Infernal Pistol and a Power Fist. Would I prefer 7 Sangri Guard over 7 Death Company, Power Swords, Power Fists, Infernal Pistol, Thunderhammers? You know, it's a tough call. I mean, if you have that's why probably I prefer the Ancient. If you have the Ancient there and you can make one of these Death Companies plus 1 to hit, then I actually really like that. Because obviously you lose -1 to hit for the Thunderhammers and the Power Fists. I think Death Company are not bad now. Excuse me. He lost to Nick apparently. Okay, so you got to the final. I bet you lost turn 1. Oh, that sucks. What army was he up against? Jim says, I love the Ancient now, so much more value and we're way more survivable. Clearly Sangri Guard need nerfing, so do Whirlwinds. I mean, I'm glad to... How do you lose turn 1? Yeah, what army was he playing against? Eldar. Okay. What about resing a model or 2? I mean, resing a model 2 is obviously good, right? Like, you can't argue, but I mean, You have to res a lot of models to get your 155 points back. I guess you get Assault Doctrine as well earlier in the game. It's a tough call. I'm already spending quite a bit on characters, I guess, for my list. Like, I could take a Captain on a Bike who's 165, I take Miss Fiston who's 140, so I've already spent 305 points on characters, so I'm not sure my list works with taking a Sangri Priest at 155. I'd like mine to be cheaper, if that makes sense. But okay, I mean, I've got nothing against the Sangri Priest, I just don't know if he's needed with their new survivability. Then we have a squad of Sangri Guard, and it's an 8-man squad. 2, 4, 6, 8. No, it's 9, is it? I'm not a huge fan of the bigger Sangri Guard squads these days. My experience of Sangri Guard tells me that they'll make the charge, they'll kill their enemy, and then they pretty much get wiped out. Excuse me. And I tried, so I went to GT where I had a squad of 7 Sangri Guard, and that's exactly what happened, right? Made a charge, killed whatever I did, and then the enemy would just kill them. So I thought to myself, how do I fix this? Well, what if I take an 8-man squad of Sangri Guard? Because, like, points are always difficult for me. So I took the 8-man squad, and the exact same happened, right? Like, it just got annihilated in what, like, when the enemy go in to kill Sangri Guard, you know, people tend to overcommit to kill them, which is fine. But I kind of think that maybe, like, personally, like, at the moment I'm running a 7 and a 6. And I think with the banner bearer, the output of damage on both those squads is pretty decent. So, 9-man squad, I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it either. I mean, I guess if you can get it around the table and get it into where it needs to be, it's fine. Fast attack, 2 land speeders and multi-meltas. Obviously I like these things a lot. And then the hammer strike with the missile launcher, the crack grenades, and the melta destroyer. So we don't honestly see many hammer strikes ever, really. And there is 3 variants of the storm speeder. Apparently there's one variant of the storm speeder that is ballistic skill 2. That's the Thunder Strike, and it's 5 points more, and it has Strength 10 is minus 3d6 damage missile, Strength 9 minus 3d6 damage las talons, and then basically a auto cannon, but heavy 2d3. Yeah, I think that's an auto cannon. So that's the one that's on Ballistic Skill 2, which I've heard people have had good success with. I think someone said that, like, one of the guys from Art of War, like one of the top players in the world, has been using these. And I think the reason he's using them is just the BS2. The Hammer Strike, for 5 points less, is on BS3, has a flat 3 damage missile launcher, which I kind of like, has a crack grenade launcher, which was just a long range crack grenade essentially, and then the 3-shot melta, which is decent. So I mean, in damage output, if you compare this against the regular land speeder for 170, and you've got 2 of them, technically this can do more damage because you've got 1.5 melta guns and then you've got the D3 damage rockets. So I mean, I don't hate the hammer strike. I'm not in love with the Thunder Strike either, honestly, because it's D6 damage. I mean, it does have longer range on the Thunder Strike, so like you could throw it in a board quadrant, I guess, and just try and shoot things from long range. But, okay, a Hammer Strike in this list as well. 18 mortal wounds to the spell that is the orbital bombardment that happens at the time the spell goes off and killed everything. Okay, yeah, that orbital bombardment can go both ways, I guess, right? It can literally do 0 mortal wounds, or it can do a shit ton. When Kev did it against me, it did like no mortal wounds at all, like maybe like 4 or 5. I guess that's why Soul Warden might still be a valid. Like, I haven't been running Soul Warden in the last few lists that I've made, but I haven't been running. Excuse me. I was fine before I came on stream and started talking all the time. I haven't been running against too many armies that do mortal wounds. I like that one. I'm currently building it. Which one do you like? Sorry, Jim. You gotta remember, sometimes the chat seems a little bit delayed on my side. I don't know why. I just see it a little bit after, I guess. And then the Whirlwind with the Castellan launcher. Okay, so the idea is the Whirlwind hold back on the home objective, yep. Voidsmen do actions and or hold objectives. Speeder to zip around the board and score engage and maybe snipe enemy vehicles or heavy infantry. Sangri Guard and Death Company to main assault force with the HQs for sport. I get a lot of Death Company... Or sorry, I get a lot of Death Guard AM, Admech, Turnids in my meta, so I need to be hard hitting with some survivability, and the new armor of Contempt will really help with that a lot. Look forward to your thoughts and suggestions. Thank you. Alright, Michael, let me think what else suggestions wise. Well, for one, I really think you want an Infernal Pistol on your captain. He's going to survive the entire game if you play him right. Having that Infernal Pistol is going to help a lot. Who's your warlord? Astros, your warlord. Okay. And then CP you're starting with is... Damn it, you didn't say how many CP you're starting with. It cuts off here. I guess you're paying one extra relic. One for that. And I think the Voidsman arms are at 3. So I think it's... You're starting with like 9 CP. 3 damage weapons in this list, you've got quite a few. In that you've got 2 Thunderhammers and 2 Infernal Pistols in both squads. 3 Infernal Pistols here, so that gives you like 11. The 2 Land Spears and the Hammer Strike gives you like 14. The Thunderhammer on the Sergeant. Astaroth Axe. Yeah, so you've got a very good number of 3 damage weapons. Good evening, Pana. How you doing? Thanks for the donation the other night on the stream, Pana. I really appreciate it. Who's up for tonight? We're looking at Michael, we're looking at Sam Milburn, and we're looking at Steve West. How much is it to join? You mean to become a channel member? There should just be a big join button under every single video on my YouTube channel. And if that is too much for you, you can go over to Patreon, and I think you can join Patreon for like $2 a month or something like that, Henry. But I really appreciate it. Starting with 9 CP. Oh, you're in the chat, Michael. Great. Okay. So, yeah, I would ditch the 1 mortal wound bullshit on the Voidsman arms. I don't think it's important, and I would get a 6th model in here to guarantee Nachman data, so when you bring them in from reserve, you know that you can pass Nachman data. You don't have to worry about potentially having to roll the dice and fail it, because that sucks. I like Astaroth as the warlord. I think it's you're giving him the 4 damage axe is great. I guess he works well with both squads of Death Company because you can potentially massive doom on them. The Sangri Priest obviously works well as well because you can assault doctor in 2 units. I like the fact that you've got a couple of Infernal Pistols and Power Fists as a mix-up. I also like the fact you've taken Power Swords now with the change to Chain Swords. So I think Power Swords will help a lot against Marine on Marine. 3 Infernal Pistols in the Sangri Guard maybe seems like a little bit too much. And also the Sangri Guard being a 9 maybe seems like a little bit too much. But maybe that could work with Sangri Priest. You do have plenty of elite slots here, which makes me feel a little bit sad that we couldn't have like a 4th jump pack squad unit, whatever you want to call it. Like something that might be worth considering. And I have seen it work in some other lists. I haven't tried it myself, but I have seen it work in some other lists. If we talk about what I said, where I didn't think a 9-man squad of Sangri Guard was all that useful, what if you made the 7-man squad with Infernal Pistol, you took these 2 guys with Infernal Pistol and started them in a new squad, and basically like maybe dropped their Infernal Pistols, just give them the Angelus Bolters, and drop like 1 Death Company Power Sword guy out of each squad, and then you could have a 4-man Sangri Guard squad, so you could have a 7 and a 4. Yeah? I think the 7 still has good damage output, and the 4 maybe gives you like 1 more unit that can engage on all fronts, because it's a 4, because you need to be 3. Is there anything better that we could put into the elite slot? Highland's saying you could run some company veterans. I just don't know how this list is so mobile. I don't know how the veterans would keep up, right? And if I were you, I'd probably spend 1 CP at the beginning of the game to either put the Voidsman arm into reserve or put like the Salt Intercessors and the Voidsman's arms into reserve. Probably do something like that. So your Salt Intercessors can do actions, your Voidsman arm can do actions. So you've already swapped out the dog for the Infernal Pistol. Great, yeah, because that captain is really good. With an Infernal Pistol, yeah, he can fight forever with the Armor Indomitus, I feel like. He's brilliant for Angel Sacrifice. So I like a lot of... I mean, I like the speeders. I do. I've never played the Hammer Strike. I want to get one to try it. But I think if it was me, I might run 3 lands. If I had 3 land speeders, I'd probably run 3 here, and maybe make that 4th squad of Sangri Guard I'm talking about that much stronger. The one thing that I wanted to mention, and I think it is important to mention, I'm not 100% sure, right? But you'll know on Friday. So the video that I'm making this week, right? Like the video, I've made a bunch of slides for it, and like it's coming this Friday. The video I'm working on this week is basically how do storm shields still factor in? Do we still need them? Are they worth it? And like, there's a lot to get through. I've got a whole video planned on this. I need to film it probably tomorrow night. But regardless, you got no storm shields here. I mean, apart from your characters, this list does really not have very many invulnerable saves at all. So it might be worth... It might also be worth thinking about one of these squads of Vanguard veterans. Tomorrow night's game is going to be Tuesday. Tomorrow is a bank holiday. I'm actually working tomorrow. So we'll be playing on Tuesday night tomorrow instead. We'll be playing Tuesday night this week instead. My thought is that I still think Vanguard veterans are very much worth it. Vic says Mordheim. We're not playing Mordheim. But okay. You can magnetize the Storm Speeder's weapons with whatever you want. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I don't dislike the list. Just personally, I've been feeling that when I look at my jump pack units, or when I look at my close combat units, I like some of them to be super survivable. Sangri Guard are more survivable. Death Company are more survivable. Are they survivable as Storm Shield Vanguard veterans? Possibly not. Depends on the weapons, really, and that's what this week's video is going to be all about. I do think you want 4 elite units. If you can possibly do it, I guess. Like 4 close combat hitting units. I'm trying to think, like, I think in my list I'm running 2 Sangri Guard, a Vanguard Veterans, and a Terminator Squad. And I guess you have tooled up the Death Company to be really hard hitting. I'm interested to know actually, like 303, 236, 236. What is this? Like 770 points. Is that right? Yes, like 775 points or something. So in my list, I've got the Terminators for 200, the Van Vets for 154, 7 Sangri Guard, or what again? 32 times 7, 224. So I've got an Infernal Pistol in there, so that's 229, and then I've got 6 Sangri Guard, which is 180. Okay. 6 is 180 plus is 192. Oh, it didn't. What the fuck? It didn't add them all together. Plus 5, plus 200, plus 154. Alright, so in terms of jump units, I'm literally spending 5 more points than you, but I've got 4 squads. And I think the reason that I like the 4 squads better, and it's just my opinion, is, and I think it's based on what the guy Jack Harpster said, and like a lot of people in here or in the channel or that watch think Jack knows a lot of, or they think his strategies are pretty valid, and in some ways I do as well. Sometimes it's nice to have a squad you can just sacrifice, right? To like mess with the opponent, and I did that against Death Guard like just this week, right? I basically threw a squad of Sangri Guard to the wolves. I knew they were going to die, but I wanted to put them on, take him off an objective, and mess up one of his Plague Burst crawlers. I mean, if I'd remembered at the time, I could have actually spent a stratagem and probably killed the Plague Burst crawler, because of course her Death Guard or Heretic Astartes, so I could have paid 1 CP and re-rolled all my hits against it. What I ended up doing was leaving the Plague Burst crawler on 3 wounds, but the Plague Burst crawler was on its worst profile or its worst bracket, and it basically did nothing for the rest of the game. So it was still a win, but I was able to throw away like one of my squads of Sangri Guard, you know, like 220 points or whatever. I guess you could throw away one of these squads of Death Company. But I guess that's what I'm saying about like maybe switching some of this out slightly. And I guess it really comes down to elites, and it really comes down to that Sangri Priest. Like, if you think the Sangri Priest is... See, because, like, in my strategy, I can... There is no one to res in my... I guess... I assume Jack Harpster actually does use the Sangri Priest, but maybe he's using it for Assault Doctrine, right? I was using the Sangri Ancient to give, like, either the Sangri Guard or the Vanguard Veterans +1 to hit, so they hit on 2s, and then I'm throwing one of them away to gain points or to mess with my opponent's plans, and that's hard to do when all your units are giant. That's my only thought on that. And then I guess you'll see my video on Storm Shields. Slot dual Highland Phoenix. If you actually played a game with that dual Infernal Pistols and a Landspeeder Storm, like, did it work for you? Okay, so this is kind of my thoughts. Let me put some scores down for this list, because I mean, I think overall you do have a good strategy here. Maybe alright, so OBSEC is usually 8.5, but you've got Rites of War in this list as well, so we'll go with 9.5, because I think Rites of War is pretty powerful, especially on like a character that's going to be very difficult to kill. Anti-Infantry Fire, we really just have the Sangri Guard chopping out some bolt guns. I mean, Incursors have a little bit of Anti-Infantry Fire. The Whirlwind does literally nothing now, so I guess like maybe 7 for Anti-Infantry. Anti-Monsters, we talked about how we've got like 15 or 16 3 damage or more weapons, so we're in good shape there. Mobility, I think, is very good in this list. I'd say it's like a 9. There's nothing that's really immobile except the Voidsmen and the Assault Intercessors, but that's kind of the point of them. So you've got the Overwatch Denial, you've got the Fight Last, you don't have any Denies, you do have 3 units for actions, 4 potentially with the Voidsmen, but I would try and change that so you've got that 6th person, just if you want the Voidsmen to do Nakmand. 3 damage weapons is good, starting CP is good. Protection against mortal wounds. I mean, you've got it on Astrath, right? Because he's the Warlord and he's got Soul Ordnance, and you've got it on the Sangri Priest as well. So yeah, I mean, is it an 8.5 or something? The only real problem maybe being denies and to a certain extent units for actions, but you can fix both those things. So I think this is good overall. Highland agrees you want 4 fighty units. I think Henry said ditto. I'm completely sold on Infernal Pistols. The amount of times I've now rolled high and one-shot a character, buggy vehicle. I love them. I mean, I'm land speeders with multi-meltas. I rolled I rolled double six into Colin's Demon Prince this week and on half range and did, what was it, 16 damage in a single 16 damage with a multi-melt at 9 inches. It was pretty nice. Technically it's a sound unit. Yeah, I think someone did win a tournament. I just don't have any scouts with double Infernal Pistols. I guess that would be a fun conversion to make. Okay. Alright. Michael, if you've got any questions, just ping them in chat. I'm going to move on to the next list. But I think, like, since Armour of Contempt rules come out, I have not felt like I need a priest for either healing or reviving. I just feel like I haven't needed it. I mean, I didn't run it before. I used to run the Tech Marine, so I guess I'm just not used to running it. But I felt like in my first game against Tau, the Sangri Ancient pretty much won me the game with the 2 inches of additional movement. So I run the Captain, Mephiston, and the Sangri Ancient. And in the second game against Death Guard, the Sangri Ancient was huge again because he, I think for my charges, for my Sangri Guard, I think I rolled a double 1 and a 1 and a 2. So without those 2 extra inches of movement, I would have failed both those charges, and I probably lost the game. You know, it would have been a 4-inch charge, which I failed, and it would have been like a 5-inch charge, which I failed. But, I mean, it does happen. So I'm personally thinking the Sangri Ancient is better than the Priest. And obviously he's 40 points less, so I feel like he's more fieldable. But I guess we'll see. Someone's saying Wrath of Baal on the Sangri Ancient. I was thinking about I am running Wrath of Baal, sorry. Someone was thinking Rites of War in the Sangri Ancient. I'm actually kind of tempted to put Soul Warden on him, because I don't have any other protection against mortals in my list. But I do like Rites of War. I do think that's good on him as well. I just think if you're looking for like a take all corners list, then maybe Soul Warden is the right pick. The Priest is worth it if you have several units of 3 wound Marines to revive, and Scepters and Blade Guard come to mind. I don't think he's not worth it in terms of like reviving, and he's obviously not worth it either for Assault Doctrine. I'm just trying to work out if Assault Doctrine, essentially, like, if you keep the Priest defensive like I've been doing with the Sangri Ancient, like, I don't throw the Ancient away early in the game. I'd hide the Ancient, obscured, with a unit that can move fast, and I'd use the extra 14 inches to, like, dominate part of the battlefield, right? If you're doing the same strategy with the Priest, then the Priest isn't really in position to do much rezzing, or provide much value with his Feel No Pain. So at that point, would you not be better taking the Ancient and paying for an additional model? I'm not 100% sure. Mike is still rocking the Tech Marine. I still like the Tech Marine. If you're going to go double Redemptor, then the Tech Marine's still good, I guess. Or even if you're going to run any sort of double Dreadnought list, the Tech Marine's still good. And you know what? Saying that, we're right into a Tech Marine list next. Alright. Sam Milber. Back with a new list geared toward getting the most out of Armour of Contempt, Sicarion Omega and Leviathan Dread had been sitting on my shelf, but with the 2+ save, it felt like the right time to bring them out. Alright, this is going to be a cool list to look at. Bringing all the Sangri Guard, I have built and painted. That's pretty much where I am. Trying not to be the 30 Sangri Guard guy, lol. My HQ are geared toward helping the vehicles, allowing 2 to get +1 to hit at range per turn. Alright, cool. So this is a 7 CP list, 1988 points. Comparing the Ancient to the Priest is a good shout, but I like the Feel No Pain and Chalice that the Priest, and on my list starting with less CP and smaller elite units, so I like rezzing. Yeah, I mean, both are fine. I just haven't really felt like there's been much need to res since Armour of Contempt comes out. I mean, I haven't typically had any squads left over with like 1 or 2 guys that have need resed, you know? But I guess we'll see when I play against Tau this week. Alright, we've got Mephiston, who has Quickening, Speed of the Primarch, the Bloodlance, and Wings of Sanguinius. He's the warlord. I don't like Mephiston as the warlord, really, because I think his warlord trait sucks. I can tell you his warlord trait sucks because speed of the Primarch, right? This is Codex creep for you, and some people say Codex creep isn't a thing. It 100% is a thing. If we look at Blood Angels, right, and you look at speed of the Primarch, right? Speed of the Primarch is, at the start of the fight phase, if this warlord is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first that phase, right? So that was a Codex at the beginning of 9th edition, and you guys know that I picked up the Black Templar Codex recently, and I forget what the warlord trait is called, but I'm going to look at it right now, and when you get your Codex halfway through the edition, you get, where is it? You get Master of Arms, which is at the beginning of the fight phase. If the warlord is in any range of any enemy units, it can fight first. So you get the exact same thing, but you also just get +1 attacks because Codex creep exists, and I guess they realised that fight first sucks, and they thought, well, what if we give it +1 attacks, and maybe it wouldn't suck quite as much. So this is why when I was looking at the Black Templars Codex, there's a number of reasons, but I was like swearing a lot. I was like, why the hell have they just, like, Black Templars have so many cool things. So I think the speed of the Primarch sucks. The only reason to run Mephiston as a warlord, I guess, is so we can keep up with the Sangri Guard and give them +1 to hit. But I'd argue your chaplain on a bike can do that as well, and surely you can get a better warlord trait out of the chaplain on a bike. Anyway, what is this chaplain on a bike? He's got Artisan of War, he's got Recantation of Focus, that'll give +1 in the range hit. He's got the Canticle of Hate, Adamantium Mantle, he's the Master of Sanctity, and he's got the Armour Indomitus. I think he's got too many things here, right? So Hero of the Chapter. Hero of the Chapter is giving him Artisan of War, which is letting him take Adamantium Mantle. Okay, so he isn't the Wise Orator. That's what it is. So if you made the chaplain on the warlord, he could either take Gift of Foresight or something like Imperium Sword. I think both of those are better than Speed of the Primarch. Like I said, it's an old warlord trait, and it's kind of crappy. I guess unless there's a real reason that Mephiston is the warlord, then I run Mephiston all the time. I never consider him as warlord. His warlord trait is crap. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't even take the Black Templars one that's +1 attack as well, on top of Speed of the Primarch. Then we got the Tempmarine with Soul Warden, Master of the Forge, and Quake Bolts, which is cool. I like all this. Quake Bolts is good on the Tempmarine, Soul Warden is good on the Tempmarine, and Master of the Forge, giving those 3 damage repairs, is really good. Hey Terry, thanks so much for tuning in. Speed of the Primarch on a Judicar's Heroic Intervening is still kind of a flex. Yeah, but I kind of feel like if you're wanting to do Heroic Intervene on the Judicar, you need Selfless Valor, because that's kind of the point of him. Mephi is only ever my warlord if he's my only character in small fluffy games. Yeah, I think it's a pointless one. Space Wolves have one that gives a 2+ save and it's a fight last aura. Yeah, I mean, Speed of the Primarch is just bad. I hope that gets updated at some point. I mean, what's up, Jimmy? Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Alright, we've got Assault Intercessors, Incursors, and Infiltrators this time, which is all good. 3 decent squads, and I always like Phobos units, or Phobos troops, I always say this. We have a Leviathan Dreadnought with the Twin Volkites, 2 Hunter Killers, a Storm Cannon ×2. I dislike double Storm Cannon. It's quite expensive, and I think the strength of Blood Angels Dreadnoughts tends to be their melee combat. The Storm Cannon array, it's not going to be that effective into Marines either now, right? It's just -1 AP. It's been a while since I ran the Storm Cannon. I actually think I ran it more last edition. So, I don't know if I would double down on Storm Cannons. Yeah, Strength 7, -1, 2 damage. So against Marines, there's no AP, essentially. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, considering the grav flux is the grav flux is 10 points cheaper, and I think like heavy 2d3, potentially 3 damage a shot. I like the grav flux more. So the way I personally would run the Leviathan would be the grav flux and a claw, or well, it should be the drill, but claw is okay as well. The drill statistically does more damage, but I mean the claw gets additional attack, so I guess the drill will take out heavier targets, the claw will take out more infantry. But that would be the way I would run it: the grav flux and the claw or the drill, and keep it at 220 points. I guess you've added some hunter killer missiles, that's fine, so 230 points. But I'm not a huge fan of the storm cannons. I wasn't a huge fan of them before Armour of Contempt, so I guess even less now. Evening Tezad. Mike says I've been running dual storm cannons in most recent games, but they have been against guard and I haven't finished picking up the other options. The storm cannon, it used to be 10 shots minus 2. Yeah, you're right. So they made it 8 shots minus 1, and I guess now against Marines it's AP 0. Fight First is good against Dark Elder, they have so much against that. I mean, it is Brian, but it's just Mephiston. And I think if people know Mephiston's going to fight first, they're going to target him. And Mephiston has no invulnerable save, so he's not amazingly difficult to kill. I dislike double storm cannon. It also means you can get trapped up in combat, I guess. I just think our dreadnoughts work best with a melee weapon. We have a Redemptor Dreadnought, Stormbolters, Rocket Pods, Plasma, and Onslaught. That's all good. We then have the 7-man squad of Sangri Guard, Infernal Pistol, Axes, and Swords. All good here. A 6-man Sangri Guard, mix again with basically the same, and then another 6 Sangri Guard, basically the same. I kind of like this. I think I'd be happier with 2, and then like a squad of Lightning Claw Vanguard Veterans, or a squad of Death Company with Thunderhammers, or a squad of Terminators, because I just think that there are units that the Sangri Guard are pretty not good at killing. You know, -1 damage enemies, basically half their damage. Lightning Claws obviously don't take any detrimental effect to that. You know, if you were running Storm Shield guys or Terminators, you could potentially survive better, and also Thunderhammer Death Company give you the Alpha Strike. So I knew some people would like to run 3 squads of Sangri Guard since the change, but Sangri Guard are very expensive as well at 32 points per model. You're only like basically 1 point more for a double Lightning Claw Terminator, who would basically end up with more attacks, rerolling all their wounds, and 1 extra wound per model as well, and a better save because they've got an invulnerable save. Invulnerable saves are relevant for Marines now with a 2+ natural save. They're really not, Jim. I've got a video coming out this week, and I've poured a lot of time into making the slides about are Storm Shields still valid, and I think my answer is 100% yes. And I guess you'll see on the video on Friday. I originally felt the same way as you. Like, I felt like, oh shit, we should just drop all our Storm Shields. We don't need them anymore. But when you actually break it down, you start looking at like an array of different weapons that are going to get shot at Marines, then it's almost like 50-50. In some situations, against some weapons, Armour of Contempt is going to take over and be very good, but against others, Storm Shields are going to still be king, essentially, and you're just still going to want them. So, yeah, that's my opinion on 3 squads of Sangri Guard. I think 2 is fine, and I would swap this out for something else. We then have the Sicarion Omega, and I believe the Omega is the one that gets the 6 plasma shots, right? I don't have any Sicarions, but I think it's just heavy 6. Overcharged plasma, yeah. Heavy 6, strength 8 -3 2 damage, or 9 -3 3 damage. I like this Sicarion. It's got the 2-up save, which is obviously valuable. He's got the Tech Marine in this list as well. He's got Smokescreen here. I mean, the Sicarion is good. I'll give him that. I'm not sure I like Bloodlance on Mephiston either, actually, thinking back to his power pick. I don't think Bloodlance is that good. It's like, it's fine to do like a mortal wound. I would rather Unleash Rage here. I'd even take Blood Boil over Blood Lance. I think Blood Lance is maybe the weakest of the lot. But there's no Whirlwind here. So I guess he's traded out the Whirlwind for some pretty decent shooting. Pretty decent shooting if you think this. I think Storm Cannons are pretty bad now for the 10 points you have to pay for them, honestly. So the Redemptor and the Sicarion look good. The Leviathan, I'd really think about swapping out the weapons. I'd probably think about swapping out one squad of guard. And then, yeah, I'd definitely lose Mephiston off the Warlord unless there's a real reason you think that he needs to be the Warlord. Armor Contempt doesn't help when you see Crusher Claws at -5 AP. Yeah, I mean, if you play against another Marine faction and it's turn 1 and he blasts you with a bunch of Eradicators that are at -5, you're gonna want some of those invulnerable saves. Storm Shields on Vanguard Vets, yes, but they have a 3+ and a 2+. They need AP6 to make them not have a save. Yeah, I mean, they do need AP6 to make them not have a save. AP5, I think. They need AP5, but I mean, you can get AP5. I think the whole question on Storm Shields is just silly. It's not an all or nothing proposition. Who in the right mind is dropping all shields or still spamming them if not necessary? Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right, Reziel. It's about, I think it's about balance still. I think Armor of Contempt helps us a lot, but like in a bunch of games that I played recently on the channel, people kept saying, like, what's been your MVP? And I was like, well, my MVP is my Terminator Squad. And that was before Armor of Contempt. And half the time it was because I was like, right, my Terminators are in cover or whatever, so they're on a 0-up save, and they can just save all day long. And I think that potentially still valid, right? You can never get a 0-up save with Armor of Contempt. You can never get better than your 2-up save. I guess in cover you could get a 1-up save. But yeah, I mean, I guess you'll see in the video. I've done all the maths, so we'll figure it out. But I don't think it's irrelevant, the Storm Shield debate. Okay, so, I mean, that's my thought on this list. 3 damage weapons, I guess. Sicarion has 1. Each squad of Sangri Guard has 1. The Redemptor has 2. The Leviathan kind of has 1. Tet Marine has 1. Chaplain could have 1, but he doesn't. He's more survival, and Mephiston has 1. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, I mean, this one does heavy 6, so maybe that counts for 2. 9 3 damage weapons, so it's slightly lower than I like. Yeah, let me do some scoring on this list. Okay, well, I mean, I guess my Storm Shield video is going to be interesting. That's why I made the video. That's why I'm working, or I say made the video. That's why I'm working on a video about Storm Shields, because I think it will be an interesting list. Alright, OBSEC. We don't have Rights of War or anything nonsense like that, so it'll be 8.5. Anti-Infantry Power as it stands will be reasonably decent. I guess the Leviathan, the Redemptors, all the Sangri Guard Bolters. This list will do better if we're just trying to clear infantry than the last one. Probably quite a bit better. Anti-Monster Vehicle will be weaker. We've got less 3 damage weapons. We have a bunch of 2 damage weapons, which can potentially get nerfed with anything that's -1 damage. So probably what we make up in anti-infantry, we probably lose in anti-monster. Mobility again is worse because we've got dreadnoughts and tanks. I guess Tet Marine as well. But overall, mobility is still reasonably decent. We'll say 7.5. And then specialization. We don't have any way to cancel Overwatch. We don't have Fight Last. We do have 2 denies off Mephiston. I guess we do technically have more units for actions because we've got 3 squads of Sangri Guard that could do actions. So I guess it's about the same. 3 damage weapons is low. CP is actually kind of low, starting on just 7. And protection against mortal wounds, we do have that. So I think it's probably similar, like maybe an 8 here. So I think this is... I think it's not bad. Like, I still think you could do well with this list. But I think I'd probably try and optimize. And yeah, I don't like running 3 of the same unit. I think it's maybe a little bit one-dimensional at times. I think the Warlord question needs answered, and also Mephiston's powers probably need looked at, in my opinion. I think Unleash Rage here is actually pretty valuable. And have we got anything else to say on this list? Let me catch up in chat. Well, I mean, I'm making the video ready because I spent ages making the slides for it, so I guess the answers might be clear to you, but I guess they're not clear to some other people. And yeah, the storm cannons on the Leviathan, that's the last thing. Like, would I just take grav fluxes and have grav fluxes and a drill? And the Leviathan's more survivable now. I'd just charge the Leviathan straight up the middle and say, shoot me. And the second they shoot the Leviathan, I'd smoke screen it. Blade Guard veterans are still relevant, fight me. Yeah, well, Blade Guard veterans actually perform very well in my slides. And the other thing that's interesting is, in the slides that I've made about Storm Shields, I've also included Gravis units. Because like a lot of people have been asking, like, how do Gravis compare against all the different APs with -1 and all this nonsense now? So I've included Gravis as well. So there might be a surprise or two based on just all the maths. So I guess we'll see what's what on. Can you fit a power sword onto the Assault Intercessor Sergeant? I mean, he could. I think if he drops these storm cannons, he's got 20 points to play with. And I also think he should maybe drop one of these Sangri Guard squads, and 6 Vanguard veterans with lightning claws and storm shields is like 180. So excuse me, you could get like 37 more points straight away. I guess you could even run a Thunderhammer on the Vanguard Veteran Sergeant as well, and you could run 3 Thunderhammers in the Vanguard Veteran Squad and fix the lack of 3 damage weapons in this list too. Alright, Sam. It's a decent list. It's scored reasonably decent. It's got some good shooting buffs. It's got Quake Bolts, which is really nice, but I think 2 squads of Sangri Guard is plenty. I really do. I'm sure there's some strength in going 3 squads, but I think 2 is fine. D King says, I don't think Blade Guard veterans were relevant before Armour of Contempt. I think a lot of us have been playing Blade Guard veterans wrong. I think if you imagine a Blade Guard veteran squad just holding, being more defensive, I think they're a great unit. Are there going to be a Centurion train anytime soon? I don't know if anyone else... Like, does anyone else actually have Centurions painted? Like, anyone in chat? Type 1 in chat if you have Blood Angels Assault Centurions, like, painted, ready to go. Because I feel like I was one of the few people that actually tried it. And I like it. It's just the... I think if you're going to run the Centurions, you want the Sangri Priests, because they're so fucking expensive. They're like 60 points a model, are they? Or 55 points a model? Henry's got them. Okay. One person's got them? Yeah, I mean, Centurions are... Oh, D-King's got 2 squads. Okay, a few people have Centurions. But not... Oh, okay. More people than I thought. And is anyone actually having good success with Centurions? I think the Centurion... Like, when I had the most success, because I had a list that won like 22 games in a row on the channel or something like that. And that was a list that had attack bikes and Centurions and a Sangri Priest. And, you know, if people couldn't kill all the bikes, then a bike was coming back. If they couldn't kill all the Centurions, a Centurion was coming back. And that was it was a slow list because of the Centurions, I guess, but like it was a pretty nasty list. So hear me out. 4 Centurions, Contemptor Dread, Stormraven for transport, hilarious against Death Guard. I mean, yeah, Stormraven is so risky though. I feel like a lot of people will just shoot out a Stormraven in one turn. There's nothing you can do. Okay, let's look at list number 3 for today. This is Steve West. I think Steve was actually at a tournament today because he sent a picture, and he was the guy that sent the picture in Facebook group with Jack Harpster. So Yeah, okay, let's have a look at Steve's list. So it's 1998 points, 8 CP, company champion with the Blade of Triumph, and then 3 company veterans, a chainsword, a meltagun, a chainsword infernal pistol, and a chainsword and a combi melta. Interesting squad. Expensive squad, actually, putting all that melta in there. Captain on a bike, gift of foresight, angel's artifice, to give him toughness 6, I guess, infernal pistol, thunder hammer, and he is the warlord. He hasn't paid for the second. He hasn't paid the 1 CP for having basically the second warlord trait, which is okay, but I feel like that captain gets a lot of value sometimes out of having. I've got a fly in my room. Get that fuck out of here, fly. Okay. Primar's chaplain on a bike, mantra of strength, armor and dominance, so he's kept him nice and cheap, and then Primar's tech marine, master of the forge, also just keeping him no warlord traits or anything here, just keeping him cheap. Oh, hey Steve, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you being in the chat. Assault intercessors, and infiltrators, kind of a defensive mix here. I feel like. Personally, I just like assault intercessors than 2 squads of incursors. I guess my question is, do you have a whirlwind? No. Okay, so if you don't have a whirlwind, I think infiltrators can work fine in the backfield. If you do have the whirlwind, then I think you can get past with incursors. But I mean, you do have 2 dreadnoughts with twin Volkites. One of them can probably sit in the backfield pretty effectively because they've got like 45-inch range. I'll get to them in a second. Company veterans. There's another squad of veterans with pretty much the same loadout. Death Company with 2 hammers. 2 relic contemptors with the Volkites. And I played these in a tournament. I played them with the Tech Marine and the more. I played them the same way, I guess. Captain to give 1 full rerolls. Tech Marine to give the other one hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. So you get a very high rate of fire. The problem with them, I guess, is they're no AP. So a lot of things can save against them pretty effectively. So at that point, you're fishing for 6s. It can work, but it can also kick you in the ass when you roll no 6s. So personally, since that tournament, I prefer to include a Cyclone missile launcher on the Dreadnought, lose one of the Volkite arms and put in a melee weapon. I think that brings it to 180 points because the Volkites are 15 points per arm, the Cyclone is 25, so that puts it to 180, and I think you can get a combat arm for free. If you can afford the 5 points for the Chain Fist, great. If not, just take the free combat arm with like a Stormbolter on it. But I think the strength of Blood Angels Dreadnoughts is getting into melee. The static weapon platform way of like double relic contemptor with Volkites, it kind of works and it can kind of be okay. And like I said, I almost won a GT with 2 of them in my list. That's when they were 150 points. But I mean, none of the rules changed. All that happened is they went up 20 points per Dreadnought. I almost won a GT with them in the list, but when it really push came to shove and I needed to do a bunch of damage, I didn't get any 6s or whatnot, and I lost the game. So based on that, I don't like them. They're good into a lot of lists, like into Orc Buggies or something. They're great, where they already have a bad save. But if you run into something that has a really good save, or even if you run into Marines now, your damage is gonna be pretty poor. Into Custodes, I guess they're gonna be pretty crap as well. Into Black Templars, they're gonna be crap. So I feel like there's just too many things that the twin Volkite Dreadnoughts are bad against now. Maybe it was okay when they were 150 points. You could afford them to be bad against some things. At 170, I don't like them. I did say, Games Workshop should maybe listen to me sometimes when I say stuff, because I did say that I think if they put them up more than 10 points per arm, they'll become irrelevant, and they put them up 15 points per arm, and now I think they're irrelevant. So if I had $1 for every time I said something that made sense to me, I'd be a rich man. 6-man Sangri Guard, Infernal Pistol, Axes, Swords, that's fine. 6-man Vanguard Veteran Squad, mix of Thunder Hammers, Lightning Claws, and Storm Shields. For the most part, I like this. I might still keep a Storm Shield if possible on one of these Lightning Claw guys, because sometimes you might just want to save on a Storm Shield and not risk a 37-point Thunderhammer model. But that's just my opinion. And then it's in a squad like Vanguard Veterans where you can always afford to have like one cheap guy, for example. It's nice to have a cheap guy with a Storm Shield. I think in my current list I might even be running a guy with a Chainsword and a Storm Shield. So it's just like, well, I can just take the saves on this Storm Shield Chainsword guy to begin with and maybe just lose him because, you know, someone's going to die. It's the guy with the Chainsword who's as cheap as possible. I don't like 6-man squads just enough to have to take Blast. And I mean, 6-man squad, you talk about Blast, is a D6 roll typically, right? The average of a D6 is 3.5. So Blast being minimum of 3, I think it's minor. You know, like, I run my Sangri Guard as 6s and 7s, and sometimes my Vanguard vets I would run as an 8, because I like a big squad of Vanguard veterans with shields, because I thought it was really survivable. I never really worried too much about Blast. The only thing that I would worry about maybe is like Inceptors, but people aren't playing Inceptors anymore because they're so expensive. In the odd matchup you come into a squad of Inceptors, I guess you're gonna have to deal with it. But for the most part, I'm not worried about Blast. In Vanguard Veterans, I put Storm Shields on the cheaper models too, says Highland Phoenix. I think I would prefer Thunderhammer Lightning Claw and Lightning Claw Storm Shield. Oh, I never thought of that. That might be a cool way to do it, actually. Thunderhammer Lightning Claw. And then the Storm Shields on the cheaper models, yeah. Okay, and then you've got the Terrax Pattern Termite, which I guess is loaded up with company veterans. Which is cool. I mean, I like the Terrax. I think it's a cool model. I'm going to buy one in the next couple of months. Apparently I have to buy both a Knight and an Astreus. If you guys were watching on Thursday night stream, someone started, I think it was Ed, started a mad rush. I finished my Terminators, by the way, so they are fully painted. I was going to varnish them today, but the humidity was too high, so I couldn't do that. Okay, so it's the Terrax, the Vanguards, the Sangri Guard, the 2 Relics, the Death Company. I mean, I like you've got Death Company, Sangri Guard, Vanguard Veterans. I like all that. I like the Terrax. I like the double veterans inside. What I don't understand, or what maybe I'm missing, is if you got the Terrax and you've got the veterans inside and you've got the company champion, you really want Icon of the Angel here, right? DTS says you finished the Terminators. Congrats. Yeah, I even put my transfers on them as well today, so they've got some cool transfers on them. So I'm happy. I actually finished a Tech Marine today as well that had been sitting around for ages because he was like 95%. He just needed a tiny little bit of touch. So I think you need Icon of the Angel. I forget. I think Icon of the Angel is the one that Icon of the Angel is all units get to reroll charges, not just core and characters, right? Because I think Martial Exemplar, which friendly body angels within 6 reroll charges. So I think you want Icon of the Angel and the company champion, honestly. I know you've got a 3 damage weapon on him, and I guess that's the plan, but I think Icon of the Angel means that the Terrax can reroll its charge for free. Because that's the problem with Martial Exemplar, right? Martial Exemplar won't let the Terrax reroll its charge, Highland, because the Terrax doesn't have core or character. I've actually been running a Firstborn Librarian with the company veterans in DC and the Terrax. I mean, that works cool as well, but I think I love the idea of the Terrax re-rolling its charge because you've got Icon of the Angel, because the Terrax's melee damage is just ridiculous, right? It's like D3 plus 3, however if it's vehicles it's D3 plus 6, and its weapon skill doesn't degrade, which I love as well. So I think you 100% want it to be able to make the charge. So I think giving it the reroll is important, right? And I guess Martial Exemplar, as cool as Martial Exemplar is, you won't get that. The one thing I want to say about this list is you've got 4 characters. And I mean, if you can get Space Marine characters, they're typically not that survivable. I guess your 2 on the bikes kind of are a bit more survivable, but Assassinate might be a good pick into you. I guess you're also spending what's that? 290, 390, 70, 460 points on characters, which is really pushing it, right? Like 450 points on characters feels like, I feel like 400 points on characters a lot, so 450, 460 feels like a lot. Dirty Wizard, I've placed Corbelow into my Terrax as we discussed the other week, and Martial Exemplar on my Champion, and they've been absolutely ruthless. I mean, that's cool. Did you do you like the Icon of the Angel idea to get the Terrax the reroll, or you don't think that's worth it? I think I think you 100% want the Terrax in close combat. Yeah. I mean, it's just so good for us. Have you got Quake Bolts? I was going to say, I guess you could put Quake Bolts on a... Quake Bolts would be beneficial here. Quake Bolts would help the Terrax as well. So the Tech Marine, the Chaplain, the Captain, I mean, they're all good choices. I guess it's just a lot of points, like I said. The 2 Relic Contemptors, in my opinion... I'm going to have to kill this fly in a minute. I don't like it anymore. I mean, I didn't like it. I think it's just got... yeah. I just think it's got stuff that it's weak into. I think you can make Relic Contemptors good with a melee weapon and a Cyclone Missile Launcher. I think that's a better option now. I'm trying to decide if I like them more than Redemptors. I think if you're running a Tech Marine, you might be better running Redemptors now over the Relic Contemptors, because like if you run into Tau and they railgun a Relic Contemptor, it's just going to be dead from full health, right? At least the Redemptor probably gets to survive because of the extra wounds. You can maybe repair it, move it, advance it into cover, get it back in the fight a turn later. I mean, I've definitely had games with a Redemptor Dreadnought where like it's been badly hit down to like 1 wound, I've advanced it into cover, I've healed it that turn back up to 4, and then next turn I've healed it another 3 back up to 7, and like now it's pretty much good to go back, able to fight again at pretty good strength. And like sometimes like that can actually be a big swing in a game where like they really almost kill the Dreadnought, and then all of a sudden, hey, a couple of turns later, this Dreadnought's back, and it's like it's back in full bracket, or it's back in equivalent full bracket because the Tech Marine's giving it +1 to hit again. This was pre-AOC. I've dropped the Relic Contemptors for more Sangri Guard and Eliminator Squad. Okay. Yeah, I mean, a second squad of Sangri Guard is nice. I feel like you might really want a Whirlwind in this list. And then you might want to go double in Cursor Squad. Infiltrators are fine. I mean, you were at a tournament this weekend, Steve. I mean, how much Deep Strike did you have to... How much Deep Strike came into you at the tournament? Because I feel like Deep Strike happens a lot less than it used to. I think you're right with the EOC switch to Dread Redemptors. Yeah, I mean, I think Redemptors are possibly better than Relic Contemptors, which is good, because I've got 3 Redemptors. Maybe at some point in the future you'll see me run 3 Redemptors again. Even 2 Redemptors with a Tech Marine I think is good. And also, I like a lot the melee weapon on the Redemptors. God, I'm going to lose my mind over this fucking fly. Get the... No way, did I just catch it? Did I just catch it? Is it in there or did I miss it? There's no way I caught it. I got it! Next level! Oh, I'm pleased with that. There's no way that there's like a 1 in a million. Yeah, how often do you just catch a fly like that? Yeah, double Redemptor. With the Macroplasma. Here's the thing that I hate about the Redemptor is the Macroplasma D6 shots again is really difficult in a tournament because like it sucks to spend your CP at a tournament to reroll the number of shots on a weapon. I really wish they just made that Macroplasma like 3 shots. I know the average of a D6 is 3.5, but I would prefer it if it was just 3. I have the speed of the Primarch, thanks Toasty. Yeah, maybe. Jamie says, I'm thinking double Leviathan, triple Venerable. Venerables I think are fine, but again, the multi-meltas lack shots, right? Like, I think if a Redemptor Dreadnought had 3 shots on the Macroplasma, I think it would be a great Dreadnought. I just think that the D6 swinginess of that main cannon is it basically can win and lose you games. You know, like you have 2 turns where you roll 6. It's like brilliant, and then you have 2 turns you roll 1. It's terrible. That's why Leviathans are better because it's 2d3 on those Gravflux. But Leviathans are more points, but they do have a better save now, which probably actually... And they do have the invulnerable save, so... Yeah, I mean, I think Leviathan's obviously got a better bonus out of Armour of Contempt. Units on a 2+ got more benefit than units on a 3+. Everyone's gangster with Incursors until we meet Eldar that deep strike in engagement range. That's only via the Webway Gate though, right, Lorenzo? Or I think it's only from the gate. Yeah. So infiltrators are a direct counter to that gate. So I guess they're... I guess the question is like... It's a tough question. You know, like, you're trying to build a list that will fight everything. And then it's like, oh, well, this one unit can do this, or this one army can do this. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm basically at the point where I'm thinking I'm probably not going to run any Relic Contemptors anymore. And I just spent ages... Before I was painting those Terminators, I was painting Relic Contemptor for ages, I think. I think it was like 90% painted. I kind of feel like I should just go and finish it off because of, you know... I probably won't go and finish it off, but I felt like it was like 90% painted. Okay. 3 damage weapons in this list. The Terrax got 1. The Vanguard Veterans have got 3. The Sangri Guard have got 1. There's Thunderhammers here. There's Meltaguns here. There's the Tech Marine. There's the Captain on the bike. And there's... So we're pretty good on 3 damage weapons. I wonder if those gates will get nerfed or something. I guess we'll see. I do think the Webway Gate is very powerful. And I get, you know, like, we do occasionally have the debate on the channel, like, are infiltrators worth it? Well, I guess against Eldar, infiltrators would actually be very worth it, because I think that the Infiltrator Squad rule would trump the Gates rule, which means, like, nothing could deploy out of the gate if you had an Infiltrator Squad near there. Or near, yeah. If you deployed an Infiltrator Squad on the gate, or within 3 inches of the gate, I guess nothing could come out of the gate. Alright. 8.5 for obsec holding. Seems like a kind of standard. Anti-infantry in this list. I mean, I guess the Contemptors would actually be very good against infantry, so that is one of their strengths. Probably they do some mortal wounds, plus they make the enemy make a lot of, like, reasonable saves, so I'm going to say like a 9. 3 damage weapons was generally pretty good in this list. The Terrax is good as well. I think you can probably do a lot of damage in melee. Mobility wise, I mean, those dreadnoughts aren't really mobile, but they potentially don't need to be. I'd love it if there was at least one squad of Intercessors in here. Mobility wise, I guess is like an 8.5. And then we don't see many Eldar run the gate. Yeah, I mean, I've not played against the gate myself yet, so I guess we'll see. Overwatch, we don't have anything. Fight last, we don't have anything. Denies, we don't have. Units for actions, I guess, decent with the company veterans potentially doing actions. 3 damage weapons is decent. CP was 8, so very decent. I would include Quake Bolts probably on this list, so I'd probably start on 7. I think Quake Bolts, you can get value on it with just about every squad except maybe the Sangri Guard. Quake Bolts would also help the Terrax quite a lot. Icon of Angel might also help as well. And then protection against mortal wounds, I don't think we have that. I don't think there's much scope to get it in either with the CP. So I think specialization is maybe like a 7. But I think all of today's lists are pretty strong actually. And it's nice to see some variants, you know. What's been... Oh, the gate's been out of stock since the Codex launches, since the Codex launch. Yeah, I'm not sure about the Phobos Captain. I tried running him. I didn't really like him. I think if you want to do some sniping, you probably just want to run Eliminators. I think they're probably the better options. Okay. Yeah. So if anyone's waiting and they're not a member for a review, an army list review, I'm sorry, we're just doing members for the next few weeks till I clear the backlog, because I don't like having the members wait too long. I guess everyone's excited with Armor of Contempt. I've only played twice since Armor of Contempt, and I think I really enjoyed both games actually. I felt so much more survivable. Eliminators do the job, maybe. Tyranids are the same. A lot of their best things are out of stock for months now. Plenty of the rest of the army line as well. Yeah, so I guess if new Marines get released, you'll need to be ready to buy them quickly, because they'll probably go out of stock for God knows how long. Okay. Alright, so that is tonight's list. I'm not playing tomorrow night. I'm playing on Tuesday night this week. So be aware that when you see the stream, it is correct. It is Tuesday night, and it is going to be Tau, and it is going to be Andrew running 3 units of 5 crisis suits, all geared up with like as much AP as he possibly can, because Andrew expects me to just be relying on Armor of Contempt to make my things survive, but that's why I think running Storm Shields is still going to be pretty useful, and I am going to still run Storm Shields. Oh, the Captain has a 12-inch bubble for Denial as well, and he's cheaper than Infiltrators. I guess if you're willing to throw a Captain into the middle of the board and just try and stand next to the gate. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the game I played against Death Guard last week, but like, it was the same thing. Like, Colin put all his Death Guard in the middle of the board, and like, I couldn't fight into all the Death Guard in the middle of the board. If I went into the middle of the board, I'd just lose. Marco says, "Hi Commander, just a little question between the Whirlwind and the Landspeeder Storm." Sure, shoot, what's your question? And good evening, Steel Rain. So I think, like, if the Eldar player puts the gate in the middle of the board, you just need to hit him on all the flanks, right? You would only go into the middle of the board once he's deployed everything through the gate. Because, you know... Or, if you had a really strong unit of Sangri Guard or something that you could... Or, you know, one of these units of Death Company with a bunch of Infernal Pistols, yeah, you could put them in the middle of the board and then Auspex scan him when he comes out the gate, right? But I really think I've run the captain with a mastercrafted bolter. I think there's also one you can. There's like a warlord. It's like a master marksman to get +1 damage. You can run Michael, but I just don't think it is great. The storm is much cheaper for a tournament. Could it be better than the whirlwind? You're talking about the removal of Overwatch, right, Marco? Or yeah, Marco. The storm does. I forget the land speeder storm strategy. I'm going to look at it. Shock and awe. Use a stratagem in shooting phase. Select one enemy that's within the 6 of your land speeder storm. Cannot fire Overwatch. Each time the model is selected to make an attack, subtract 1 from the attacker's hit roll. Yeah, I mean, if you can get the storm anywhere in the board, it can remove the Overwatch, sure, but it doesn't do the fight last. So it's kind of... The Overwatch is half the battle, right? The fight last is the other thing. And also 6 inches is kind of limiting. You know, the whirlwind is a 72-inch range, so you can pretty much park it in one corner of the board and hit the other corner. Plus, I find the whirlwind sits in the backfield objective and makes the backfield very safe. I think would be a fair way to say it. Like, I don't have to worry about the backfield in most games. I mean, sometimes I fuck up and my whirlwind gets killed, sure. But in a lot of my games, the whirlwind just sort of sits in the back corner and scores me points. Do you know what? I've got some old pictures here. So here's a good picture. This was a battle against Admech and Knights. And here's an objective. Obscured, basically. So I just had a whirlwind sit and hold objective 2 for like 4 turns. And he's got literally no line of sight on this whirlwind. And I can make any of these, especially this big fucking knight, for example. I think this was my turn. So I either have the choice of like jumping into the middle with the Sangri Guard and the Blade Guard to take out this knight, right? But if I do that, then I'm exposed to probably all this counterfire, and I probably just lose whatever squad goes into the middle. So what I think I did, I'm pretty sure I did it in this game, was I shot this knight in the middle with the fight last. So like if he's going to come and attack me, alright, I'm pretty sure in the next turn, I don't know if I have the next picture. No, I don't have the next picture, but actually look, later in the game the whirlwind got brave. I think it actually got brave. I think I've got a tech marine here holding this objective now, and the whirlwind went for this objective over here so I could control 3. I actually have Blade Guard veterans sitting on his home objective in this one as well, so no, I don't have the picture, but whirlwind is I think the whirlwind is better than the storm. I mean, I don't own a storm, but vehicles do not work to capture objectives in our tournament. Well, they should, because that's how the rules work. Yeah, I mean, that seems a bit strange. I've never played it that the vehicles can't control objectives. Rezio says, I ran Ultramarines list with a Phobos Captain with a Master Marksman, 3 Sniper Eliminators and a Vindicator Assassin, and I still had trouble killing characters. Okay, so yeah, I mean, and Ultramarines are ultimately way better equipped for shooting than we are. Gonna see, do I have any other cool pictures? No, that's the same picture, I think, just cut down. Yeah, look, here's another game. Here's my whirlwind holding this backfield objective. Again, I won this game. And the whirlwind just sat... Whirlwind just sat in this backfield objective and held this the whole game, and again, he had to fight last, and he couldn't overwatch, and stuff like that. Yeah, Whirlwind MVP, patrolling like a boss. Yeah, I mean the Whirlwind comes out and be brave when times. Oh yeah, like here's a picture of that game later on. You know, so The Tech Marine I think is still under here because I can't see what would have killed them. I guess the Blade Guard actually left this objective. I think he had some guys under here, so the Blade Guard killed them. I held the middle. I held this one. I guess I didn't hold this one, but like, yeah, the Whirlwind came over and scored. So I was holding the 4 in no man's land essentially. Well, I was holding 3 of them in the middle because I think I have both of them on this one. Okay. Alright, well, I think that kind of wraps us for tonight. I enjoyed that game against Knights. But, yeah, so next week's lists then are JW, Nathan Keller, and Chris Catherwood. Looks like that's what's up for next week. Cool. And they are all members as well, so yeah, it's going to be members for next week and then the week after, and then we'll get back to doing a bit of everything. Fight last when you're about to charge is only half the benefit. Fight last on something you think might want to charge you in the next turn can be really powerful and dissuasive. Yes, that's a very good point, Mark. I guess I didn't make that clear enough. Thank you for pointing that out. Will you change it now that indirect fire is dead? No, because the Whirlwind doesn't do any damage anyway, dude. The Whirlwind has never done any damage. You only need to hit once from 2d6 shots. So, I would say averages... So, 2d6 averages 7 shots. And you need a single 4-up roll. Seems pretty reliable to me. And trust me, the Whirlwind literally never did any damage anyway. I've been playing the Whirlwind in my list now for... I don't know, probably since the second the Space Marine Codex. Like, I think I've been playing the Whirlwind in my list for damn near 18 months, maybe even 2 years. What are my thoughts on Blade of Sanguinius? I think sometimes it can work Life RPG, but remember the enemy picks. So if the enemy picks the character that you need to kill, they can just hide him the whole game. They can run away from your character the whole game. The Whirlwind is okay at killing Sisters Repentia. Yeah, I mean, I think against like Poxwalkers this week, the Whirlwind killed like 4 Poxwalkers. But yeah, I mean, like, just don't think of the Whirlwind as a damaging unit. Just think of it like, I can hide this thing on my home objective, and I can make one enemy either not overwatch me, or I can make the nastiest thing in my enemy's list fight last. And that's how you play it. And into something like the Nightbringer, for example, like the Catan, that are like, you can't kill them, you can only do 3 wounds to them. It's super important that you can do... Let's say you don't bring a Psyker, right? So the maximum damage you could ever do to a Catan is 6 in your turn. You could do 3 damage in the shooting phase, you could do 3 damage in the combat phase. If you run a Whirlwind, and you know the Catan is coming for one of your units, and typically they do have to come for your units because they do a lot of their damage in melee, you make them fight last. So they fight last, you do the 3 damage you need to do because you get a fight first, for example, and then you can kill them. If you don't have that, Catan can be very nightmarish. And I actually lost a game against John recently on the channel by like 2 points. And it was just that. It was like, I just couldn't kill his Catan. And at one point, I think he had like, he had 2 Catan in that list. And he hid one of them in like a really defensive position. And I couldn't engage into it because I was like, I can't kill this Catan because I can only do 3 wounds in the phase. And because I can't kill it, he's then going to kill so much of my stuff. So it makes it like impossible for me to even fight into it. I mean, you could go and fight into it and hope that the dice rolls, but like I don't play like that. So I think the same thing is true with the Whirlwind, where like if the enemy has, I don't know, let's say, I'm trying to think of the other, so I've used it against Catan, I've used it against Tyranids as well. Like, if Tyranids are going to charge you right now, they're going to mess you up. So if you can make them fight last and your squad of Sangri Guard can fight first, that can be huge. And I think I've used it on the Sisters as well, actually. I think I used it on... what are those Sisters with the shields? You know the ones, the really difficult Sisters to kill. That have like the marine... They have like strength 5 minus 2 damage, marine killing spears. I haven't seen those Sisters... I haven't played Sisters for a little while. I think Andrew might play some Sisters soon. But yeah. Okay, yeah, so I think that wraps us for today. Thanks again for watching, guys. We're going to be back on Tuesday night, live against Tau, 7:30. And in the meantime, I guess if there's any questions, join up the Discord. You can hit me up on there, or leave a comment on any of the videos. And this Friday, we got the video coming about Storm Shields. It's definitely going to be worth a watch, because I think it's going to surprise some people. I've tried to do the maths for like a bunch of different AP weapons into units with Storm Shields, with not Storm Shields, with Gravis Armor, Blade Guard Veterans, all the common units that we are not sure at how good they are now with Armor of Contempt. I've tried to cover them all. I'll be filming that tomorrow and Wednesday night, so it should come out on Friday as normal. And on Thursday, assuming that that Grey Knights game comes out, because I guess games are getting delayed left, right and centre at the moment. Assuming this Grey Knights game comes out during the day on Thursday, I'm going to play this game. And I might even stream it later in the week as well if I have time. I don't get a lot of time with the kids at the moment, but if I have time, I'm going to play this game. So maybe I'll see some of you guys. I love XCOM. It's like literally one of my favourite games. So I think, and I hope, this is basically just XCOM. It looks, I mean, the graphics, the top-down view, the user interface just looks XCOM. So hopefully this will be out on Thursday. Cool. Alright guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks so much for watching. Do appreciate you bearing with me as well while I get set up on this new computer. And I'll see you guys probably Tuesday night. We might play on Tuesday night with the clocks again. I think people enjoyed watching the game with the clocks, and I felt so out of practice playing with the clocks. So we're probably going to do that again on Tuesday night. So cool. Fight last anywhere on the board is definitely worth 70 points if it saves like a 200 point unit from dying. Marco, just think of it that way, right? If the enemy can charge your Sangri Guard and wipe them, like wipe the whole squad in melee combat, and you can make that enemy fight last, and you can do like significant damage to it, it could be worth well more than 70 points. And remember, you can suppress something every turn. So I've literally had games before where I've just suppressed a unit every turn. The enemy's got some sort of it was I remember now. It was I guess the Tyranid rules have maybe changed. Apparently I can't even spell Tyranids. I remember what thing Andrew ran it. And I always say this thing wrong because it's impossible to say right. It's a Demaracarian pronunciation, right? This thing gets 6 attacks. They are strength 8, -3, D3 plus 3. You can reroll all your hits. And then it also gets to make an additional attack with its tail, -3, strength 7, 2 damage. And then, after this model has made combat, before it consolidates, select one enemy with engagement range. That model's player rolls D6 and adds their model's strength. So like we're strength 4 is a marine. So roll D6 and add your strength. If the result is equal or less than this model's strength, 7, take D6 mortal wounds. So I just spent the whole game, he had 2 of these fucking things. 280 points. I just spent the whole game suppressing one of them. And he was literally never able to charge me with it because it's only got 18 wounds and a 3-up save. So I figure my squad of Sangri Guard is going to basically probably, like, we're either going to kill it or we're going to put it on its lowest profile, right? If we fight it first. But I also didn't want to engage into him, because if I engaged into him, my Sangri Guard are like super exposed. So I just held my side of the board and just suppressed this thing every single turn. I mean, the video would be on the channel. I can't remember the last time I played Tyranids, so it's probably gonna Inception. Blood Angels vs Tyranids. Can you actually just search on this channel? 8 months ago. I was on an 11-game win streak, apparently, when I played this game. Yeah, this is it. So you could go watch the game. And again, look, the Whirlwind sits here, completely safe. At the end of the game, it's still sitting there. And the whole game, he had like one of these Demarakarans over here. I had Blade Guard and Sangri Guard here. He really needs to take this objective. He just can't charge me, because I'll just kill him. And the reason the Sangri Guard were 6 inches behind the Blade Guard, and the reason the Blade Guard have spaces between them, was that if he did charge, right, rather than him fight the Blade Guard, I could potentially pay 1 CP, heroically intervene the Sangri Guard, and fight with them first as well. So, you know, like, basically, if he charges with his Demac Aeron, if he charges with his 280 point Demac Aeron, I kill it before he can do a single point of damage. And this thing is gonna... If this thing went first, it's probably killing what? It's probably killing like 5 Marines, maybe, and then it's doing 50-50 chance it's doing D6 mortal wounds. They're the Sangri guys, right. Yeah, it was Sangri Guard. Steve West suppressed Mortarion 3 turns in a row. The only reason I killed him. Yeah, okay, so... If you've never tried Suppression Fire, you need to go try it. Alright, I'm going to peace out. I'll see you guys Tuesday night. Thanks again for watching. Good evening.